Do you ever wonder what happened to Amber Heard? Well, in this video we're going to be counting down the top 10 horrible things that she did after the trial. Number 10, changed her name. Amber is currently enjoying some downtime with her girlfriend and daughter as she vacations across Europe. But she doesn't go by Amber Heard anymore. She's using the alias Martha Jane Canary, who is more commonly known as Calamity Jane. That's the alias that she's said to be using for her travel arrangements, which of course would prevent anyone from knowing her exact whereabouts. The real Calamity Jane was known as one of the rowdiest and most adventurous women in the Old West. She was a frontierswoman and professional scout who also appeared in Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show. It's not really clear why Amber chose the name in particular, but it does have a lot of history behind it. We know that 2022 was a really tough year for her. The cameras were focused on her every move as she went through one of Hollywood's most high-profile legal battles ever with Johnny Depp. But at the moment, it looks like she wants to stay anonymous for as long as possible. After the trial, a source close to Amber spoke to People magazine and said that she is now focused on raising her daughter in Europe, so it seems like she is not going to be moving back to the States anytime soon. Number 9, return to Hollywood. Ever since the trial, there has been endless speculation about Amber's possible return to Hollywood. Most of this comes down to the disaster surrounding Aquaman 2. A few months ago, Amber furiously denied reports that she was cut from the sequel. At the time, her spokesperson called the rumors inaccurate, insensitive, and slightly insane. They insisted that she will get to keep her role as Mira. Eventually, there was a petition created to try and get her out of the movie, along with several reshoots involving other actors. But even though they might have cut Amber's role down significantly, that doesn't necessarily mean they took her character out altogether. During the defamation trial, DC Films president Walter Hamada said in a pre-taped deposition that Amber and her co-star Jason Momoa weren't well matched as an on-screen couple. He said they didn't have a lot of chemistry together. I think editorially they were able to make that relationship work in the first movie, but there was concern that it took a lot of effort to get there. Although many people were surprised that Jason was the one fighting for her scenes to stay in the film, because there was just so much pushback against the idea. There was also a lot of chaos with the release date, which eventually got pushed back by a whole year. The final release date is now set for Christmas Day this year. Number 8, the settlement. In December, Amber released her own statement explaining her decision to settle the case against her by only paying $1 million to Depp. In doing so, she also doubled down on her position in the trial. She explained that she lost faith in the American legal system and said the settlement spares her the ordeal of further litigation and allows her to finally emancipate herself from her marriage. Quote, "I have made no admission. This is not an act of concession. It's important for me to say that I never chose this. I defended my truth, and in doing so, my life as I knew it was destroyed. The vilification I have faced on social media is an amplified version of the ways in which women are re-victimized when they come forward." She went on to say that she exhausted almost all of her resources during a trial, and she was exposed to a type of humiliation that she simply cannot relive. Amber claimed that even if her appeal was successful, the best outcome would be a retrial, and that's something that she cannot go through for a third time. For their part, Depp's attorneys released a statement saying, "We are pleased to formally close the door on this painful chapter for Mr. Depp, who made clear through this process that his priority was about bringing the truth to light." Number 7, back on social media. In a recent video published on TikTok, Amber was seen making something of a comeback online. Although the clip was not published on her own account, fans were extremely excited at her return to social media. A TikTok user by the name of Bernardo Triana shared a video of her dancing to Selena's Como La Flor. Amber looks very happy with her signature red lipstick as she swayed her hips to the music along with her dance partner. The video quickly went viral and was viewed over 11 million times in less than 48 hours. Judging by the comments, not everyone was happy to see her pop up on their feed again. But the video also received a ton of positive comments too, with some fans saying that they were happy that she was just out there living her life now. Viewers were quick to praise her rhythm and her dance moves, which made it seem like she had put the events of the previous months behind her. It was later discovered that the video was taken in Guatemala, and Amber was dancing with a young member of the film crew from the movie In the Fire. That movie is currently in post-production with no actual release date listed on IMDb. Number 6, gaining more supporters. Just minutes after the verdict was announced, Amber rushed to Instagram and posted a statement declaring the reason she lost. She wrote, "I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. husband. She really doubled down on aligning herself with the Me Too movement, writing that she was disappointed in what this verdict meant for women and called it a setback. Quote, "It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up could be publicly shamed and humiliated." She also added that it sets back the idea that violence against women should be taken seriously. With that post, she made it clear that the verdict was a defeat for all women. At the time, the backlash against the Me Too movement seemed to be at its peak, so it's no surprise that her supporters seemed to resonate with the message. Months later, she would go on to win back some support from celebrities, including women like Julia Fox, who argued that Amber could not be considered the aggressor in her relationship with Depp because of the age gap and the power dynamic between them. Number 5. The appeal. Right after the trial, Amber's attorney Elaine Bredhoft spoke to Savannah Guthrie about Amber's plan to appeal. In June, the jury awarded Depp $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages. They also awarded Amber $2 million in a countersuit against him. Of course, she was not very happy with this outcome and decided to try and challenge the verdict. At the time, Elaine claimed that her client has excellent grounds for an appeal, and she brought up the previous lawsuit against The Sun, which Depp lost. She said, "We had even tried to get the UK judgment in to dismiss his case, because he already had his shot." Elaine went on to speak about all the evidence that supposedly did not come in, but a successful appeal would have been a real uphill battle for the actress, as appeals are notoriously hard to win. And it wouldn't even be a new trial, but an examination of whether or not it was fair or if any mistakes were made that changed the outcome. But Elaine insisted that Amber's medical records were suppressed, and that a number of things were allowed in court that should not have been allowed, which caused the jury to be confused. Simply by questioning the verdict, they plan to send a message that Amber is not giving up and continuing to fight her case. Number 4. Attacking Depp's fan base. While she was on NBC, Amber spoke to Savannah Guthrie about the reason she felt that the jury largely ruled against her. One of the biggest points she made was that popularity and power mattered more in the courtroom than reason and due process. She revealed that she felt less than human during the trial because of the overwhelming outrage against her by Depp's fans. Quote, "Every single day I passed for 3, 4, sometimes 6 blocks, city blocks, with people holding signs saying 'Burn the Witch' and 'Death to Amber.' If you think back to the trial, you might remember the hundreds of protesters that were waiting outside the courtroom, cheering for Depp while vilifying Amber. It was really quite chaotic, but it also demonstrated his undeniable star power, and that's the reason she thinks he won." Amber said, "He's a beloved character and people feel they know him. He's a fantastic actor." She goes on to say that when she took the stand, she saw a courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans, insinuating that the jury was influenced by the overwhelming voices of his fans, who only saw him as a beloved actor instead of who he really was. But this kind of thing was to be expected. After all, the court proceedings were broadcast live on TV, which attracted crowds and crowds of fans. Number 3. Blaming the internet. Amber has also been very vocal about the role that social media played in the trial, and emphasized just how much of the internet supported her ex-husband. Last year, the trial was one of the biggest stories online. At the beginning of the proceedings, it seemed like fans were split between the two of them, but when courtroom clips started to go viral on YouTube and TikTok, Depp gained more supporters on his side. Nothing proves this more than the hashtags. Last year, the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp gained billions of views on TikTok, while the hashtag Justice for Amber Heard was stuck in the millions. When it was all said and done, Amber tried to assert that this had a real impact on the case. She said, "Even if you think I'm lying, you still couldn't tell me, look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation." Well, to be fair, jurors were instructed not to follow the discourse online, but at one point in the trial there was a 10-day break, so it's possible that that could have interfered with the case. But the barrage of online hate that Amber has received on the internet cannot really be downplayed. By calling it unfair and lopsided, her defense team was still trying to score some points with the public long after the verdict had been reached. Number 2. Therapist notes. After the verdict was announced, Amber and her defense team consistently spoke out about all this evidence that was supposedly suppressed during the trial. Some of this included things like therapist notes that they claimed would prove she was physically attacked. Amber said, "There's a binder worth of years of notes dating back to 2011 from the very beginning of my relationship that were taken by my doctor." After the notes were examined, it was revealed that on one page, the therapist wrote that Amber claimed Depp had hit her and threw threw her on the floor. Another note 8 months later said that he had ripped her nightgown and threw her on the bed. While on NBC, she explained that the notes represented years and years of real-time explanations of what was going on. Elaine Bredhoft also claimed that her client's medical records were suppressed, which she said were very significant because they showed a pattern going all the way back to 2012 of Amber reporting the domestic violence to her therapist. But if it was so significant, why wasn't it counted? Well, it was because the judge ruled the notes as hearsay and refused to count it as evidence in the trial. To this day though, there is still an argument about the validity of the notes. And coming in at number 1, new text evidence. In terms of other suppressed evidence, Amber also took major issue with certain text messages that weren't allowed into the trial. She claimed that these messages she sent to friends and family during her relationship with Depp are evidence of the domestic violence that she suffered during their marriage. In one message, she claims that she sent her father in 2014. She wrote that Depp kicked her in front of everyone during a private flight. In fact, that very incident was the subject of testimony in the couple's defamation trial. Some people believe these messages were solid proof that she was actually telling the truth. There were ones from 2015 which read, "Johnny did a number on me tonight. I'm safe and with my support tonight, but I need some real help. Can I come tomorrow? I called earlier because I thought I had a concussion and didn't know if I should have called police." By exposing these text messages during her NBC interview, it's possible that Amber was trying to somehow muddy the waters of the case. It seemed like another last-ditch effort to win fans over to her side. So what do you guys think about everything on this list? Please let me know if we missed anything in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.